Health is not a problem to solve. It's a tension to manage. Remember that. But in that, give yourself grace, because you're never going to perfectly manage the tension, because like you said, when it comes to a balance or a seesaw, that one side's going to go up and the other side's going to go down, and then one side's going to go up and the other side's going to go down. Give yourself grace with that, because if you're like me and want everything to be perfect, you're striving for an impossible standard. So the point or the purpose or the win is not a perfect managed tension. It's the awareness of what needs to be managed.
Here at HOLO Health, we love preaching the countercultural message that our health is more than physical. We say this because we see that culture has placed an overwhelming importance on our physical health. This has caused us to believe that if we prioritize physical change more than anything else, then we're going to be healthy. Well, we believe the exact opposite. Our health is a tension to manage. If we choose to prioritize one area of our health over another, we're doing ourselves no good. Today, we're going to walk through why you should stop prioritizing your health and start optimizing. This could be a mindset shift that you need to hear, so sit back and enjoy my conversation with Alex Cottingham. Listeners, we are back with episode 4. I'm sitting down with none other than the legend himself, CSNF legend, coming strength and fitness guru. He's also in charge of the Southeast Summer Classic coming up. So shameless plug. If you are into pushing yourself and maybe know a couple people that are into it, sign up. Mr. Alex Cottingham, how are you doing, sir?
I am swell. I'm super swell.
You hesitated, so unpack swell a little bit.
I was debating if I wanted to talk about how my piriformis is acting up, which is why you're actually standing. You're sitting, but I'm standing. So I'm way better than you, Trevor. I'm just kidding. I'm not. But I am standing when we record this because we need to omit the sit, which we can talk about in later episodes. But I'm swell, other than my piriformis is just angry today. That's why I hesitated.
Did you get a lift in today?
I did not. Instead of lifting today, I took 45 minutes out. It's 80 degrees, sun shining. So I actually went out and mobilized and got some vitamin D in the sun. And it was so good for the mind and soul on top of the body. And I just felt recharged from both the Lord, from my body, and my piriformis feels better. And we're actually going to talk about that a little bit in this episode.
Yeah, we are. I think that's great, Alex. I appreciate you sharing that. And I'm excited to get out in the sun. It is a beautiful day. Aaron and I, after this recording, are actually going to play tennis. So we're going to swing the old racket, hit the fuzzy yellow ball around a little bit, and get some vitamin D as well. But like you said, Alex, we are going to talk a little bit today about how we should stop prioritizing our health. And it's a very strategic podcast episode name, and there's a reason behind it. And the past couple of episodes, Alex, we have been talking about how our health is more than just physical. And I really want you to kick us off and just share with the listeners, what do we mean by that? Where do we see this? I know you came to this conclusion kind of in a rainy car on a early morning, but what does this really mean?
Well, this means that we are not going to get help from culture at all, because if you Google, go on social media, go really online, and this really has been predominantly more exaggerated since 2007, the digital explosion. Anytime you search in any health related thing, like I want to get healthy, I want to lose weight, I want to get a six pack, I want to join a gym, I want to improve my health, whatever. Every single article, blog, YouTube video is just going to talk about your physical health. It's going to talk about 10 tips and tricks. It's going to talk about the 30-day detox. It's going to talk about your 8-week challenge. You're going to hear your friends say, oh, hey, try this gym, try this. And that's what, honestly, I was going to a gym when this idea came to me. I was like, wait a minute, I can go to the gym but still struggle with other aspects of my health. And when I talk to people about this, no one disagrees that health is more than physical, but it's part of the cultural undertow that we all can drift towards, thinking that if I want to get healthy, I just need to eat right and lose weight. But that is not the complete picture of health, that it's our body, mind, and soul all integrated and interdependent on one another that composes health. And that is the genesis, the motivation, the purpose behind HOLO Health, because HOLO is Greek for the word whole, meaning there's more than one piece to the puzzle. We're completing the picture, if that makes sense. So the pieces are mental, physical, emotional, relational, and spiritual, or the big three, body, mind, and soul. That is what wholeness is. It's the balance between those three. So we're not going to get any help from social media or online, but when we actually uncover this, we can realize that this is like what we should be aiming for.
That's the goal. That's 100% the narrative that we are preaching and the picture we're trying to paint. And I love how in our mission and purpose statement, that's it. We want to help you become truly healthy through removing unnecessary limitations that we experience in each of these areas of our health, our body, mind, and soul. And Alex, I can think of just back to earlier, shortly thereafter, starting exercising at the end of high school for myself and digging into that. And kind of the foundation of that, like most people, was that I wanted to look better. I wanted to look better. I was not confident. I didn't feel good. I remember telling my dad, I don't feel strong. I don't feel like I look, strong, like a man should look. And I just remember at that point starting to exercise. And then fast forward, I can remember in college over prioritizing my physical health, where I would be spending too much time in the gym. I would be focusing too much on how I looked in the mirror aesthetically, to the point that a lot of other areas, if I was honest with myself, was seeing, the suffering thereof. It was struggling because I was focused on the wrong thing. I was prioritizing one area of my health. And so I just want to share that to the listeners to affirm this is a place that I have been in. I know Alex can relate as well. And we want to help pioneer a way and a community that we can change this narrative. We can build this community through HOLO Health to help other people become truly healthy and understand that it's not about prioritizing my physical health. It's about optimizing all areas of our health. And Alex, you're, I would say, the savant when it comes to talking about the optimization. I hope you like that word savant, by the way. The savant of optimization.
I'll pay you $20 after this episode for complimenting me in that way.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. That's not an ad for a sponsor. He's just the CEO and he pays the bills. So Alex, I want you to share a little bit about why optimization. So we talked about how culture shares this over prioritization of physical health, but we don't see anywhere on a billboard. We don't see anywhere in an ad. We don't see on a social media post, choose your physical health, choose your physical health. It's just the narrative that's painted from the picture, whether it's the way people portray themselves, the things that are offered are only focused on lose 10 pounds, get a 6-pack, get stronger, feel better. It's a narrative that's painted, not explicitly stated. And so I want you to share maybe some cues or examples of where you see this overemphasized in culture, and then talk about this optimization.
I think it's predominantly on social media that when you see people, they're always posting their workout pics or they're posting whatever. I think you see a lot in movies and shows. That it's this glamorization of image. Because here's a quick little side tangent too, is that I think the motivation around the glamorization and emphasis on our physical health partly is health, but it's also partly image manipulation and image control, because people don't feel as comfortable and confident when they're 20, 30, 40 pounds overweight, so that when we are such an image focused culture, we're going to focus mainly on our physical health, because that's going to either improve or change our image, because that is what we can tangibly see, because we are a very, very image driven culture. So, I mean, you can see it on in the high school hallways, in the gymnastic practices, in the wrestling practices about cutting your weights or being a specific size. I mean, it is going just a little bit deeper underneath just the physical push, I mean, I think we can get to some other layers on just it's more image stricken. But I mean,
Right.
you see it in sports, you see it in movies, you see it in TVs, you see it in podcasts, you see it in just Google, where you type I want to be healthy, and you don't see optimizing your faith or optimize your relationships or optimizing body, mind, soul. You see all the tips and tricks in your 30-day detoxes and your 21-day weight loss stuff. So I do think that that's why it's part of the cultural undertow that's the purpose of Whole Health. And that's the reason why we've coined it True Health, is because we're not saying that true health and health are different. We're saying true health is the completed picture that, yeah, we're going to talk about physical health. We're going to talk about how you can incorporate movement and incorporate more nutritionally beneficial foods. But in addition to that, are you prioritizing your mental health and spiritual health in addition to that? So that's where our mission is, to help people become truly healthy. Yes, where you're going to lose weight, you're going to feel better, you're going to optimize your sleep, you're going to decrease your stress, but you're also going to have mental health improvements, and you're also going to have spiritual health improvements as well.
Alex, just to fact check you, I did Google, I want to be healthy. And listeners, the majority of things that popped up are first on exercise and second on diet. And while those are two components of the 7 habits that we talked about in the last episode, that's all it's talking about. It's only talking about exercise more, drink more water, eat cleaner foods. And while those things are very important, they're not the only aspect of our health. That's our body. We're not nurturing our mind. We're not nurturing our soul. And that's what we believe is keystone, those parts, those back end of the 7 habits, where we talk about increasing clarity, where we talk about decreasing stress, cultivating community, and embracing our purpose. That's where we pretty much finish the circle, right, of understanding what the clearest picture of health truly is, and how we can start to take steps every day to live in that lifestyle. So, Alex, I did want to fact check you, and just to affirm, you are saying the right things, listeners. Don't worry, I got your back.
I'm glad you fact checked me, because we always want to be anchored in truth. But to add a little more clarity to what you're saying, because you're majoring on the major, you're adding so much value, that moving well and eating clean are 2 out of the 7 habits that we talk about, are the 7 habits of health, where yes, we need to optimize our mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual health as well, in addition to, but eating clean and moving often will improve your mental, your emotional, relational, and spiritual health as well. Because when I work out, I have more mental clarity. When I eat better, I'm going to feel better. I'm going to have more energy and more motivation and prioritizing my priorities. It's going to impact and improve your mental and emotional health. Don't get us wrong, because your body, mind, and soul are interdependent on one another. Think about it as a stool. I think of it like a wholeness as a 3-legged stool. When one leg of the stool is a little bit shorter than the other 2 legs, it wobbles and it leans and you kind of rock back and forth. That is like when we are putting too much emphasis on the body, or too much emphasis on the mind, and too much emphasis on the soul. But they all are overlap. It's like an overlapping Venn diagram. They all interact with each other, but we need to make sure they're getting equal focus, even when they are helping and improving one another. But it's double-sided sword, or other side of the coin, that when one is faulty or one is not doing well, it will detract and decrease and pull away from them, because body, mind, and soul wholeness is attention to manage, what we can kind of get into a little bit. I know I'm kind of taking a shotgun approach to what we're talking about, but I agree with everything you're saying.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing that. It sounds like we probably need to purchase some stools and start recording these episodes on stools.
I think we should.
Maybe they're standing or sitting stools. I don't know. That's the thing. I know they have chairs like that. Anyways, Alex, I like how you're putting and kind of laying a foundation and a picture for the listeners to kind of imagine wherever they are, wherever they're listening. Let's talk about this optimization, right? So we see the importance of the 7 habits. We talked about those 7 habits in the last episode, episode 3. And we talked about, kind of why they're keystone. And now we're talking about optimizing, right? So talk more about what does it practically look like to optimize your health?
I think this goes back to the title of this episode, Stop Prioritizing Your Health, which I love that, because there is a tension that we need to be aware of between optimization and prioritization. We write it in the book, we talk about it, which is why we're talking about it now, that when we prioritize something, we put all of our focus towards it, right? A priority is when one item is more important or holds more value or weight than the others. But that's what we're talking about with whole health, that true health is not prioritizing your health. It's optimizing, because we are not saying body one, mind two, soul three. That is not what we're saying at all. We're saying body one, mind one, soul one. They are equal playing fields. They all are number one. And it's the equal focus, care, tension, precision, love, all of that towards all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So optimizing your physical health is honestly the best practical example I can give is just what I did an hour ago, that I had 50 minutes and I carved out to do a workout. But to be honest, I've been consistent in my workouts before, but I realized that my mental and my emotional states were fine, but I realized that that part of my being needed a little bit more care, a little bit more time and focus on. So instead of going and working out for 45 minutes, which yes, it would have improved my mental state, I actually went outside and mobilized, still moved, but I took my shirt off because it's 80 degrees and got a bunch of vitamin D. I was praying.
He always
and
takes
I was
his shirt off. Don't listen to that.
And I was reflecting on some things that are going on in my life, and it really put things in perspective. And just taking that time to really focus on the mind and the soul ultimately was the better move. So that's what we mean optimizing, because when we don't, we will drift in the cultural undertow, the gravitational pull towards just thinking that I need to work out or I need to eat clean. No, we should do that. But when you do have that 20 minutes or 60 minutes or however much time that you have for self-care, it might be a workout. It might be journaling. It might be a nap. It might be talking with a friend instead of working out. It might be something, but that's what I'm talking about when it comes to optimization.
That's well said, Alex. And I want to just bring a point as we're kind of rounding third right here for the listeners, is that this looks different for every single individual.
Yes, it does.
These 7 habits are 7 habits that we believe in. We believe that these touch and help to optimize each area, body, mind, and soul. And we believe that each of these lead to the benefit of one another. When I sleep well, I can move more often. When I sleep well, it's easier to increase clarity. When I increase clarity, I'm more aware of where I stress. And we could go down multiple different veins of how these 7 habits are interconnected. But the point and emphasis that I want to share with you listeners is that there's no one size fits all for how this plays into your life. You have to be able to make the decision on where you spend and allot your time. And on Instagram this week, we're talking about increasing clarity. The biggest component to increasing clarity, the first step on how to do that, is to minimize distractions. If we're not minimizing distractions, I don't have time or the ability to be self-aware, to understand, just like Alex painted that picture, I'm not in a great kind of mental and just personal space right now. I don't, instead of working out, I would rather go mobilize, get some vitamin D, and just spend time praying or spend time reflecting. We can't do those things if we're not giving ourselves the opportunity to be aware. And that's just one example. And so I want to affirm, when we share these 7 habits, these are not to make you feel overwhelmed. These are help to paint a picture that you can see clearly. Hey, these are things that are important. And it, like Alex says, it's attention to manage. And it's for me to every day figure out what this looks like. And based on this season of life that I'm in, adjust what that looks like. Again, because if we're just prioritizing and we get into different seasons, other areas of life or our life are going to suffer. And so I want to leave you just with the fact that it's not a one size fits all. And the way Alex does this is not the same way that Trevor does this. The way that Trevor does this is not the same way that Aaron or Hannah or insert any other individual into our lives. And so I want to encourage you to just take a breath of relief and know that it looks different for everybody and you're capable.
You know what's interesting, Trevor, about the dynamic of attention to manage? And that's what true health is. Many people think health is a problem to solve, but it's attention to manage. I'm going to take that one to my grave. Here's what's interesting about attention to manage, because that it's in the same equation of optimizing your health. Because when you optimize your health, it's the equal balance of body, mind, and soul. So there's a tension that naturally exists between your body, between your mind, and between your soul. That when it comes to a problem that needs to be solved, meaning, I'm only getting 6 hours of sleep. Okay, well, let's improve it to 7 hours of sleep. Like, that's it. Or a problem to be solved. 2 + 2 = what? 4. There's only one answer. It's black and white. That's the answer. But when it comes to attention, it needs to be managed. The best analogy I think of attention to manage is the difference between spending and saving money. If all you did is saved your money, then you obviously would create a different problem. And that's the interesting fact about attention. When you solve a tension, it creates more problems. So meaning, if you only prioritized your health in the body sector, you will create more problems. If you only prioritize your health in the soul aspect, you will create more problems. And going back to the saving and spending analogy, if you only spend and you only save, you're creating more problems for yourself. It's the tension between saving and spending. How much do I save? How much do I spend? That's going to look different for everybody. Like you just said, that's going to come in seasons. That's going to come in waves. You need to be aware of what's important. So when it comes to that, you need to constantly be aware. And that's our habit number 4, increasing clarity, being self-aware on which habit needs to be focused on most. So that's all I'll add.
No, I think that's a good addition, Alex. Another way that I've kind of heard it depicted is thinking about the difference between a seesaw and a frisbee. When too much weight is on one side of the seesaw, it's not moving, and you have to put more weight or emphasis on an opposite side to get it to react. Whereas a frisbee, the goal would be, if you spin that on a finger, right, it's to balance it. You got to get really close to the middle to be able to balance that frisbee. It takes a lot more tact and ability of focus on the full picture of the frisbee, not just one side.
Yep.
Alex, where can, we've been talking about the 7 habits. We talked about them in the last episode. We're continually plugging away at these habits because, again, we believe they're keystone. If I want to learn more in depth about what you wrote on, more in depth about each habit, and not wait on us to release a podcast episode about those, where can I go to find that?
I love the setup, the alley-oop for a shameless plug, Trevor. I really appreciate it. Well, literally everything we're talking about it and more is found in our book called The HOLO State. And the reason it's called the HOLO State is because this is the state we're talking about. This is the balance or the optimization of our health. It's sleeping well, eating clean, moving often, having self-awareness, living in relationship, living in community, decreasing our stress, all of these things. When we are in the perfect balance of body, mind, and soul, that overlapping, intermiddle, interconnected, interdependent part, that is the HOLO state, because HOLO is Greek for the word whole. So when we are completed, full, not lacking, every part is tended to, that is the HOLO state. So if you want to read 12 chapters on how you can live in the HOLO state, or read about 7 habits to help you become truly healthy, I would suggest people go to holohealth.com, HOLOHLTH.com, and there's a little top part that says book, or you can just go to holohealth.com/book. It's on Amazon. It is on Kindle if you like more just the Kindle electronic version. And if you're, depending on when you're listening to this, within a month, it will be on Audible as well. So you can listen to it. You don't even need to pick up a book. If you're driving or if you're traveling wherever, you can listen to it as well. So just go to the HOLO state, go to holohealth.com, and that'll be your best bet.
That's what you call setting yourself a very hard deadline, because now more than just I know about a deadline for the audiobook. Listeners, unfortunately, that's all the time that we have today. Alex, give us your bite-sized takeaway for today's episode.
Health is not a problem to solve. It's attention to manage. Remember that. But in that, give yourself grace, because you're never going to perfectly manage the tension. Because like you said, when it comes to a balance or a seesaw, that one side's going to go up and the other side's going to go down. And then one side's going to go up and the other side's going to go down. Give yourself grace with that, because if you're like me and want everything to be perfect, you're striving for an impossible standard. So the point or the purpose or the win is not a perfect managed tension. It's the awareness of what needs to be managed and just doing your best to get there and giving yourself grace along the way.
That's good stuff. We are just so glad to be able to do this and share these different episodes with you guys. And if anyone's looking to learn more about how you can optimize your health, go check us out on Instagram at HOLO HLTH. That's HOLOHLTH. Remember, Alex can't use vowels and is only good with 4-letter words. On Instagram, we are constantly sharing insights, tips, and value to help how we can use these habits and to help you live a truly healthy lifestyle. Alex, thanks for sharing this important perspective on our health. And listeners, remember to choose optimization over prioritization. We hope you have a blessed day and know that you're loved. See ya.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the HOLO Health Podcast. If you found this conversation interesting, we would love for you to share it with a friend. Additionally, we want to invite you into the HOLO Health community. And the first place to get plugged in is on our Instagram at HOLO Health. Remember, you are more than just physical, so make sure you treat your health that way. We appreciate you more than you know and hope you have a blessed day.